Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's gonna be good. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel. I like making videos because I can track my journey throughout my life, so that my kids and other people who may be um informed by some of the things I say can have a idea of how I think when I get to where I'm at. If my children are watching this in the future and you're wondering why you have siblings in other countries who you may have seen maybe once or twice, and you wanted to know the mind state behind it, this is the live that you're going to want to watch, because we are going to have a very detailed conversation about having children overseas, building your legacy to be more than just in one country, and some of the things that you may want to do in order to be good with yourself when you do it, and make sure that your siblings or your children in other countries rather will be just as fine as you are here in the States or wherever you live. Shout out to everybody in the room. I'm going to get to you guys real quick. But the first thing I want to do, because this is not going to be some uh, research stuff. This is not going to be some, I guess, detailed, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, no, no. We are going to have a conversation today about things to consider when having children overseas. And I'm going to give you my own personal, this is not a, what I got to say, disclaimer. This is not any advice. This is not promotion. They got so many disclaimers you got to put out right now. This is just a black man from North New Jersey giving you his experience in life and telling you what it is. So let me shout everybody out of the room, and then we're going to get right to it. I wanted to make sure this is clear, so I put it on my phone, got the setup in the back, and we're going to get to it, y'all, because we got some conversation to talk to. And to the point where I'm going to do it right now, and I don't ever normally do this, is I'm going to add the link in the room so that we can all have a conversation. Oh man, I forgot how to do this. I'm going to add the link in the room, and the only thing I'm going to say is that if you want to come into the room, you have to have a video. This is going to be a conversation we're going to have, but you got to have a video if you want to come in the room and have your conversation. I'll talk and give you my perspective. You can join your perspective. But what I wanted to make sure I do is what I do. I normally wait 20 minutes to post the link. I'm gonna post the link now because I might not post it again. Because we're gonna get into this conversation. Now let me see how I post this link in the room real quick, y'all. Um, let's see. How do I post this link in the room? More, post a comment. There we go. Let's paste that. There we go. All right. I'm gonna put that from the start because we're gonna have a nice conversation. All right. So as y'all seen in the background, right? And remember, if if you're going to come in the room, you have to have a video like this. I'm not even if I've talked to you before, you have to have a video because this is going to be a conversation that I feel as though is going to be something that my kids can watch, something that other people can watch. I'm going to try to match my words right. Now we got 4 minutes, gave some people some time to get in. Let's get into this conversation. Now, I know I put in the background with the Kanye West and the Kim Kardashian and $200 million or $200,000 a month for child support. And I said, oh man, this would be a good initiator to talk about having children overseas. Why do I say that? Because if you break it down, that's $50,000 per kid per month. Now I understand you want security 24/7. You want the best schools. You want this, but bro, I'm a father. I have a son. I have a daughter. My son is real young. My daughter is a high schooler. And even with kids, I send my kid to private school. It's about $20,000 a year. A year. Cool, cool, cool. That's for high school, private school, right? Right. Um, if I wanted security 24/7, I probably could get it for like $2,000 a day. Cool. For all the kids, not just one, just all. But we don't want to go too detail with that. Detail with that. What we want to talk about is understanding that the system in the United States is, when it comes to men and having to provide for their children, it's somewhat unrealistic if it's based on your income versus based on what the child actually needs. So you may want to consider having children in other countries. Now, here's the craziest thing is this. We tell from birth, everyone's told, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? They told us, right? But somehow in the United States, we've come to this like understanding that you're supposed to get married in the United States. You're supposed to have kids in the United States. You're supposed to put everything in one basket, no matter how much everybody preaches putting stuff in other baskets, right? But when I was about how would I start? When I was about 25, I started at 24 I started traveling, right? When I was about like 30, I started thinking, all right, if I'm only going to have kids in the United States, I'm going to be putting all my eggs in one basket. So let me think about having children elsewhere, right? So as I went along my journey around the world, I kind of started seeing, okay, which places would be um satisfactory for me to do this, right? And I definitely started looking at things that mattered, schooling, because one thing is that as United States citizens who have United States dollars income, which is the number one, which is the currency that's used around the world, rather, we can put our children in the best schools in a lot of other countries, but we can't. What is rare. It's very hard. It's very difficult for us to put our kids in the best schools in the United States. Now, everyone would say, well, the schools in the United States are better than other schools. Not technically. Technically, it's not. I'm not gonna give you no stats, anything like that. You can check that yourself. But United States is not the one. It's not the number one schooling in the world. It's not. It's just not. Um. Plus, when you compare the education, it's based on geographical area. So check this out. If you put your kid in the best school in, let's just say, Brazil, right? You put your kid in the best school in Brazil, that kid will compete with other kids in Brazil, not kids in the United States, in Brazil. But that's just a overall time. I'm gonna shout everybody out, and then we're gonna start. We're gonna start it up. Robert Sherlock, what's going on, man? QB Passport Flexing in the building. Make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. He be having some dope content, man. Similar Travel Rap, what's up, man? Global Paper, Brazil and Die, Models and Bottles. I got back from okay. How'd you like it, man? Everything bananas. Robert Ferguson says you open it up to people to so much more. Listen, regardless of people call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, all that stuff that people call people that think outside of the box. One thing I'm so happy is that I started traveling at a younger age. I started traveling at 18. I started traveling internationally at 24. So this allowed my mind, as my mind was growing and understanding the world, it allowed it not to be stuck on the what's the word I'm looking for? On the ideas of only what the United States pushes out. Because if you are stuck on the ideas of the United States and only what they push out, not saying they're all bad, but if you're only stuck on the United States ideas, when it comes to having kids, when it comes to getting married, when it comes to having a job, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to fall into the the place in the United States where you fall. You won't have open mind. Let me see. That's the power move. We're gonna get more into it, Frank. We'll get more into it. I just want to break down some basics. Again, if you want to jump in the room, this is the only time I'm probably gonna post the link. We definitely live, Green. We definitely live. Okay, I'm gonna like this one. Okay. Let's see. All right. We get everybody. All right, cool. All right. I had to block that last one. All right, so check this out. As I've traveled around the world, and you guys know I've been to Brazil, Jamaica, Trinidad, Costa Rica, Panama, um, Iceland, France, Dubai, London, a couple other places within the United Kingdom, um, Canada, of course, the United States, um, Dominican Republic, uh, Cuba, Colombia, of course, Costa Rica, and I've probably been to like one or two other places. And I name all these places because I wanted you to know that I went to a wide variety of countries before I started deciding what countries I feel as though I could raise children in and take care of the chat. Okay, okay. Wait. Oh, hold up. Flyboy Belgium was great. Tons of you came. Okay, okay. Make me a mod. Yeah, one thing I don't do is I don't make mods because I don't want anybody. I want whenever a decision is made, I want to do it myself. That's the reason why I don't have mods. But I appreciate you, man. But check this out. All right. So of all the countries that I came across, I thought of okay, if I want to have a child in this country, what is important to me, right? Safety. Safety came up first. Safety for me is the number one important thing when it comes for me to want to have a child overseas, right? What's the second thing? Second thing is economics. Economics meaning how much economics in the sense of how much bang do you get for your buck? How far will your money go? Not how cheap everything is, but how much quality of life you will get for an amount of money. So we got safety, uh, economics. The next thing that I did, next thing I thought of when I said, okay, which country can I have a child in, is closivity. Because regardless of whether or not I'm over there full time, because I'm a firm believer that the best children grow up that have a mother and father in their life, but they're not in the same house. Let me tell you why. I know you're gonna say, "What do you mean growing up with a mother and father not in the same house is the better, not a better, for me. For me, is a better idea of that." And I'll say it like this: I feel as though when you have a father in the house, and the father is always on top, especially if you have a son, and the father is always on top of the son, always on top of the son every day. He comes home, he sees his dad every day, every day, every day. I feel as though that stunts the growth of the kid. I feel as though you need a father in your life, you need a male figure in your life to come during the week, come every week, come over pause once every other week, something like that, and you somebody you can reach out and talk to. You need that because you need as a as a as a kid, let alone a son, you need a man in your life. But I feel as though a lot of people who end up with a mother and father household, they get like a soft treating of how the world is going to be. So when they get out in the world, they're kind of like more softer than somebody who had to actually like come up with ideas for themselves. Like my son is super independent. You guys see him on the show all the time. He's super independent. He's only 6. My daughter, she's super independent. She doesn't like people always doing that, and that's what I'm trying to say is for the world aspect is the best thing to build. So again, remember we started with safety, right? Then it was a quality of life with economics, right? And then the next thing was closivity. And the reason why I say closivity is because I still want to be within 6 hours, a 6 hour flight of whatever children I have. Because while you might be able to go, especially with the like they starting to come out with the all you can flies, you can go any place like as much as you want to paying the taxes. And I think that in the future more airlines are going to do that. So it's going to be travel and going back and forth. It's going to be less inaccessible, and you'll be able to get there faster. So I said top 3: safety, economics, closivity, right? And schooling came in the next 4th, right? So those are the 4 things when I started traveling I looked for when it came to where am I going to have a child overseas. Now some of the top, I'll say the top 4, because the 4 is in the top 1 is probably the top 4, right? The top 4 places, they're all interchangeable because I haven't really decided what I want to do the first one yet. But the top 4 places that I chose out of all the trips that I've been, and it's because, like I said, of the 4 reasons: safety, economics for your bang for your buck, closivity to the United States because I want to get back and forth, and education. And those places were Colombia, Mexico, Cuba and uh and uh and the fourth one would be Brazil. And the fourth one would be Brazil. See, the reason why I say Brazil was the fourth one for me, and like I said, there's not really any. Well, Colombia would definitely be first, and Colombia and Mexico are interchangeable. But Brazil and um, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and I was the other one I said, man. Yeah. Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and mm, I forgot the other one I said. Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and maybe Costa Rica. I don't know, but Cuba, right? And thanks, man. Like, and Cuba. Now here's the reason why. When I went to Cuba, right, I realized that as bad as things are for people in Cuba, right? One thing I realized is that there is a big separation because this is what they don't teach you this when you go to Cuba. And I'm going to go each country so you guys get an idea why I started making this decision. As bad as people make Cuba out to be, right? One thing I noticed when I went over there is that there's a big separation between the people who have access to United States dollars and the Cubans who don't. It's a big difference in lifestyles for each of the type of people. And I feel as though the schooling in Cuba is top. If you don't know, most of the top doctors that go around the world, they come from Cuba. Cuba has one of the top places where they send out doctors and engineers around the world. And the schooling is good because it is. So if you can manage to get American dollars into Cuba and have a child over there, I feel as though for approximately $400 to $700 a month, and that's a lot. Trust me, that's a lot. The average income over in Cuba right now is about $30 or $50 for a doctor a month. $50, right? Because remember, they have the system where the government provides everything else, and then the extras that you want, you have to spend it on your own. You have to earn for that, right? So for me, it was like and like I said, I left the link in the room. Anybody want to join? I'll get to your comments later. But for me, Cuba was one of the top four because I felt as though Cuba is only about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Miami. I got the condo in Miami, so I can get to Cuba and get back without an issue. So we got closivity, safety. Cuba is, from my experience, Cuba is what people consider safe. I mean, it has a lot of if you have money, Cuba's safe. All right, I'm gonna say it like that. If you have money in Cuba, Cuba is super safe. Super safe. If you're a foreigner in Cuba, it's super safe. So it has closivity, it has safeness, it has education, and bang for your buck. Listen, the US dollar goes super far. So Cuba made it to the list. The next one that came up was Brazil. Now, here's the thing I have about Brazil. Brazil was the furthest length that I was willing to go because Brazil, from where I live in New Jersey, or if I'm in Miami, Brazil is like a 6 to 9 hour ride. I believe 6 to 9 hour ride, depending on what it is, what part of Brazil I go to. So I was like, okay, Brazil, I can still make that ride, that 6 hours, if I have a child in Brazil. Now, Brazil is also cost effective. You get more bang for your buck. Now, if you're living in parts of the tourist area like Rio, then it's a different. If you live have a kid in Sao Paulo or have a kid in any towns outside of Rio. Plus, the only issue with Brazil for me was that Portuguese is very heavy in Brazil. English isn't as spoken as it is in other countries. But remember, your bang for your buck is a lot more other. So you can send your kid to an international school in Cuba and still go back and forth. So I would say Brazil is up there because Brazil is safe. Again, we're talking about somebody who, if you have money takes you to another level. You can say, is a place safe? Yes, but if you have money, it takes you to another level. The next thing is is Brazil close? Relatively 6 to 9 hours. Emergency comes up, I can get there 6 to 9 hours. We cool. So it's relatively close. Education. If you put your kid in the top school, which is affordable, if you have United States dollars coming into Brazil, it's very affordable to put your kid in the top school. Make sure that your child's mother is staying in a condo in a top area, because see, that's important too. I should have mentioned that earlier, and I'll probably mention it later after I mention the last two places. But you need to be able to afford. For me, I before I decided to have my before I decided that I'm ready to have my first child in another country, I had to get to a point where I could afford to to have this happen, because I didn't want my child to be over there struggling. I don't want my child to be in any other country struggling. I want them to have a higher level of life, because I know my U.S. dollars will go further over there than over here. And everybody's saying, "Oh, but you'll be okay not seeing the kids every day." Yeah, I'll be okay with that. It's okay. We know we technology has made it to a point now where if I want to see my kid every day, all I gotta do is go on uh what's that and video chat. Go on Facebook and video chat. The technology is breaking the barriers that our ancestors, black, white, United States citizens, whatever you're from, our ancestors couldn't break this barrier because they didn't have the technology like this. Like just the way I'm talking to you guys now is the same way I could talk to my kid. And if my kid acts up worse enough and I gotta take a 6 hour flight to Brazil, piece of cake. Piece of cake. Will have to hop on the next flight either the next morning or even the same night. Another thing about so we got safety. I'm gonna get to your comments too. We got safety. We got schooling in Brazil. We have economics, because remember, you got U.S. dollars in Brazil go very far. I think it's 1 to 500 reais, something like that. 5,000 reais, something like that. And then we have closivity. So safety, schooling, closivity, and bang for your buck. Brazil got it all down. So now on to the next place. Next place is Colombia. I'm gonna just go with three because Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, and Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. Oh, I go Mexico. All right. So next place we're gonna go to is Mexico, right? So we did Cuba, we did Brazil. Now we're gonna do Mexico. Mexico, again, I live in New Jersey, but I also have my place in Miami. Both places are relatively only 3 to 4 hours away from Mexico. Perfect. I will want my child to go to one of the best schools. Can he afford to go, or she afford to go to one of the best schools on my United States dollar over in Mexico? Yes, yes, they can. Can I put my child's mother in a in a in a condo somewhere in a good area where I can go back and forth? I have the keys, I go back and forth. Yes, that's accessible. With the income from the United States, that's accessible too. Okay, so we have the bang for your buck. Okay, schooling, we have the schooling, right? Okay, what about safety? If you're in certain areas like Playa del Carmen and you're maybe 2 blocks or 3 blocks away from Fifth Avenue, trust and believe it. I'm going to say it, just hypothetically speaking, it's very safe if you have money. If you're only 1 or 2 blocks away from Playa del Carmen, I mean, away from Fifth Avenue or the beach of Playa del Carmen, it's very safe. You can send your kids to school. So we have safety, we have education, we have closivity, and bang for your buck in Mexico, just like that. And the last place was Colombia. Now, Colombia, you got so many different parts. You can put your kid in the best part of Barranquilla. You can put your kid in the best part of Cali if you want more of an ethnic vibe. You put your kid in Medellin, and it becomes where safety. Okay, if you want to be safe, if you want to put your kid in a safe environment, you want to. I haven't talked yet about going more into detail about the kid. I just want to show you this breakdown first. If you want to put your kid in a safe environment, a lot of people say, "Oh, this place is dangerous. This happens and this happens." Yes, but if you're in the top area and you have money, it's less likely to happen. If the education is up there, the cost bang for your buck, you got the bang for your buck too, and the safety. Again, some people say certain parts of Colombia is safe, some parts not. But at the end of the day, if you have enough money to put your kids in a safe and put your family in a safe environment, come on, it's gonna be safe. It's gonna be safe. In the United States dollar right now, it allows us to do that. So those are the 4 places again: Mexico, Cuba, Colombia, and Brazil. Those are the 4 places that I considered having my children in. Those 4 places. And will I have more than one? I don't know. I'll start with the first one. I don't know which one is going to be the first one, but I'm leaning more towards either Mexico or Colombia, because remember, I want to buy that place to Playa del Carmen first. But that's that. Now, here's another thing we got to talk about, everybody. You got 40 people in the room. If you want to hit the like button, that'll be dope. The next thing we got to talk about is going about picking the woman you're going to have a child with. And I think this is the second biggest thing. The first biggest thing is understanding those 4 things I told you just now. The second biggest thing when it comes to picking or having a child outside of the country, that outside of the United States in another country, is picking the woman you want to have a child with. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. I understand that a lot of these places have very attractive women. Yes, I understand that a lot of these places, we're just talking about Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, and Cuba. Yes, a lot of these places have very attractive women. But when you are going to pick a woman to have a child with, you have to look at all aspects, not just her beauty or her booty. Because what will happen is that you can get so in your head about having this amazingly beautiful woman with no kids who wants to have your kid, and you get so frustrated about it, but you miss all the signs that she wouldn't be a good mother. She's not close to her family. She probably doesn't have any siblings, so she won't have anybody else with any kids that will be there to maybe babysit or be there to share interaction with your kid with. It's a lot of stuff that I feel as though you should consider. Now, some of those things is this: does she have any other children? Now, if a woman has one child overseas already, and you're thinking about having a child with her, it can go 2 ways. It can go good because now you know she's good as a mother, and your child will have an older sibling to watch out for them. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, let's don't have no kid with no chick overseas. She already got a kid already." But when you start thinking about it, have you ever considered the fact that you don't know how she's really going to be if she doesn't have a kid already? I mean, if she had, let's say she has an older son, and you have a daughter, is it more likely that older son might bond with your daughter and watch over your daughter, or vice versa? If you have a daughter and you have a son, that he'll have a sibling that could connect. You have to think about it. If she has no children, you have to really get in touch with the family, because here's the thing: when you're not living over in this country, right? If she has no children and you want to have a child with her, if you're not living in this country, you're going to have to get close with her family. And there is a benefit to having children. I'm not knocking either way. One kid or no kids, I'm borderline okay with. But there is a benefit to having a big benefit to having a child with a woman that doesn't have a child overseas already. Here's the benefit: that first child, if you're cool with their family and you see that they have a mother, father, and siblings, or so they can have so the kid have an aunt or uncle, having that first child with that woman puts you in a place that no other man could ever get again. And regardless if you guys don't work out as a couple, if she sleeps with other men, all that stuff shouldn't be a concern when you're looking at picking a woman to have a child with. What should be a concern is that family close knit, so that if anything goes wrong with her raising your child by herself, she can rely on her family. Because if she can't rely on her family, then you're gonna have to fly back over there. You're gonna have to stay there, and that might not work out. I mean, I think of all aspects when I start breaking stuff down. You know what I mean, I'm not telling you guys what you should do. I'm just giving you aspects of how I think when it comes to picking my first child. The next thing you want to do is you want to know, where does she work? Because the looks really blind a lot of guys, and I'm not knocking you if it blinds you, because some of us, we just don't have that capability to see more than just the looks. And I'm not going to call you bad or good for that. Just it is what it is. But you have to realize, if the woman doesn't have a job that is what they consider a regular 9 to 5, it's more likely that she's going to be okay with going out and doing things that may not put your child in the best light. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if a woman is a pro and you decide to have a child with a pro, I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying you have to understand what that comes with. That comes with a lot of her being out and your child being with somebody else. Again, this is another reason why before you have a child with a woman, you have to meet the family. If you, it's almost 100% fail if you decide to have a child with a woman and you don't overseas and you don't meet the family, because at the end of the day, that's going to be her support system when you're not there. And you want to get good. You might want to get good. And when I know people, you want to be getting good and with the family. And I know a lot of people that complain like, man, I don't want to have to spend the family money and do this and do that and do this. And that's cool if you want to penny pinch, but that's just gonna fall on your kid. Because if you come over there once, you go over to Brazil or you go over to Colombia or you go over to Mexico and you buy her family groceries once and then you leave and next time you come you buy her family groceries, what you think is gonna happen whenever they see your kid, your son or your daughter come over there? They're like, oh, come here, we got feed you, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. You gotta understand the way people think. You gotta understand it's a universal way that people think. If I know that my nephew or my daughter's or my nephew's father or my nephew's son's father is going to keep bringing all of us food and taking care of the family whenever he comes to town, I'm going to make sure that my nephew is looked after, even if it's the hood dude on the block. If her cousins and her brothers are all like tough guys, if whenever you come, you maybe throw them a Gap shirt or some kind of thing like that. You want to get in close to the family. You throw them. You bring them some sneakers from China. You're like, yo, take these out. Take these. Then whenever your nephew comes around, oh, that's my nephew. That's my nephew. You want to have the connections overseas, man. You gotta think about all this stuff. You know what I mean? You gotta think about all this stuff. Other things I consider, like when I wanted to have a child overseas, you have to understand this. Oh, I could have mentioned. I know a lot of people asking why did I mention Thailand? And Thailand. The reason why I didn't mention Thailand or the Philippines is because the distance. The distance is so far. Remember, closivity. Closivity is the reason why I picked those 4 places: Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, or Cuba. Those 4 places because of closivity. That's part of the 4 reasons. But let me get through some of your questions. I've been talking for a while, man. Let me get to some of your comments. I'll post the link in a moment one time if anybody want to come in and chat up. But yeah, it's just a lot of stuff you got to consider. And I think at this point, I'm just talking about me. At this point in my life, I'm ready to make that next move. But I want to wait till after 2023 because this year, like I said, upcoming year, I really want to focus on getting my Black Man's Guide to World Travel onto Netflix or Hulu. And if it doesn't work at the end of the year, which I'm hoping it does work, but if it doesn't work at the end of the year, in 2024, I'll be making the first steps to have my first kid in either Colombia, Mexico, or Cuba, probably. That's gonna be my first step. Like everybody's like, oh, shouldn't you fall in love? Shouldn't you be one-on-one? That's just American propaganda, y'all. For me, this is my opinion. That's just American propaganda. Because think about this: if America gets you to put all your pills in one pot, right, and then you get hit with the Kanye West thing where you gotta pay child support, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta worry about that. So let me get to your comments, y'all. Like I said, if anybody want to jump in the room, I'll put the link in there. You gotta have a video. Whoa, it's a lot. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. I'm still having a problem with learning how to soak the language. All right, so learning the language is something that is a very helpful tool when you pick a place to have a kid with. Now, Brazil, yeah, it's you're gonna have to learn Portuguese because a lot of the families, not from my experience in Brazil, a lot of families are not going to speak English like that. Maybe in Sao Paulo, but in Rio, not as much. Around Rio area, not as much. But if you go to Colombia, you go to Medellin, or you go to Cartagena, which is more expensive, then you're going to have more people that speak English. So it's good for you to know Spanish, but I don't feel as though in Medellin, having a kid in Medellin or having a kid in Cartagena, it's 100%. I don't think it's 100% needed to know Spanish because you can send your kid to an international school if if the money is right like it's supposed to be, and the kid will learn English and Spanish. I appreciate it, JM. Let's get to your comments. Do you have a black man's guide to DR? No, I don't have a black man's guide to DR. I feel as though if you want to learn some more information about DR, you got Check and Effect, you got Telemade Dreams, you got Flip Flop, you got Escape from Sasua, Jay Escape from Sasua, you got TMI, you got it's a lot. I don't want to miss anybody. You got Billy Don, you got a lot of people that you can do it because I don't feel as though I need to go to DR and do a black man's guide. It's a whole bunch of people over there already did it. Big Bash in the building, y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe to Big Bash, y'all. He got some dope beats. He makes some dope fire records and all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Rain God, what's up, man? Kokolo TV, all dangerous countries. Again, danger is based on your perception. Like, and for me, after my travels, I've been there. I didn't feel that. All South American countries. Brazil, Mexico. I think Mexico is Central America, man. Mexico is Central. So Mexico is not South American. Brazil, South American. Colombia, South American. Cuba is not South American. It's Caribbean. So yeah, it's not. Let me see. Cuba, yeah. Except for Cuba and Mexico. Mexico is not South America. It's Central America, I believe. Yeah. Had a good day. Nice. Listen, man, it gets better and better with time. Cuba. How dangerous Rio de Janeiro? I went during Carnival. So for me, I didn't feel the danger being there. Now I know they have more cops during Carnival than they normally do, but there's also more pickpocketing. And the worst thing I've seen was somebody get a woman get her bag snatched and another woman get her phone snatched. So I mean, that's little petty crimes. I don't consider that dangerous. So I don't know. Let me see. Cuba has also one of the literacy rates in the world. Yes. But it's still not a viable option. Like I said, everyone has different parameters of what they say. I was just giving you guys my parameters of what I said, and Cuba fit into my parameter. Cuba legit. We're in Brazil though. Like I said, in Brazil, it would either have to be around Rio or it would have to be in Salvador Bahia, Rio, or Sao Paulo. It would have to be in one of the major cities that I know I can get back and forth to on a flight. Like I said, I revolve everything around getting the safety, education, getting there and back, and a lot of stuff has to do with if it has an airport in that city. Chestnut, what's up, man? I would do DR or Brazil if I'm going out of the country. Okay, so the reason why me personally, I wouldn't have a child in DR, Dominican Republic, is simply because Dominican Republic is an island. I believe that islands, when things get bad in island, there's two reasons actually. One, Dominican Republic is an island. When things get bad on an island, if you're not Dominican, things get tough for you. You can get scammed. You can get your pockets tapped. People will try to do things to you because you're not from Dominican. Now, if your kid is there, but the issue with the DR, the second issue with the DR, should probably be the first issue, is that there is a chance that if you have a child with a woman in the DR and she finds out your first and last name, and I think your social security number or first and last name, and then finds your social security number out, she can come to the States and hit you with the same child support that you get hit with in the States. I mean, now it won't be the amount, the high amount that you can get if the woman is from the United States, but she can still get a decent amount of money if you have a kid with a woman. They have a Dominican Republic and the United States, even with the controversy they have right now, Dominican Republic and the United States have a tight-knit bond. So she can hit you up with child support if she comes to the States and file it, and she knows your name. So that's another reason why. And like I said, I'm a person who supports my kids to the fullest, but I don't want the government determining how much I should give my kids. That's outrageous. That's outrageous. Because here's what people don't understand. Even with the Kanye, Kim Kardashian thing, here's the thing people don't understand. You know that $200,000 that it says Kanye's giving Kim Kardashian? You do know the government gets a piece of that, right? You do know the government gets a piece of that, right? Whenever there's something where a child support is involved, government gets a piece for operation. So I don't want government touching anything between. And then once it just not. So yeah, DR was off the list for me. Costa Rica. Okay, that's dope, John Pitt. Hope you're having a great time, man. Costa Rica was something that I would have put on the map, but Costa Rica is expensive. I mean, outside, as far as a country outside the United States, Costa Rica is expensive. So that's one reason why I wouldn't have a child in Costa Rica. I would say wouldn't have it. That wouldn't be one of my top destinations. I'm trying to tour South America to see. I think you should do that, man. Like I said, I've been traveling since I was 24, and I'm 38 now. So I've been traveling for 14 years internationally. I've been traveling around the United States since I was 18, but I've been traveling internationally for 14 years. I did a lot of research before I decided to come to this conclusion. You know what I mean? Another thing, real quick. I'll stop right here, but keep it up. Another thing you want to make sure you can do is have passive income coming from the United States. You should never have a child. And I rarely say never. You should never have a child overseas if all you have is an income from a job in the United States. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. It's not going to be legit. You know what I mean? You have to be able, one, to have money to catch a flight and go places, right? Two, if you don't have passive income and all you make working and all you're doing is making money from your job, then when you stop working, your money stops. You see, as I told you in the last video, I need to make money while I sleep because that's the only way I'm going to be able to reach a wealth that I can afford having a child. I'm not one of the guys who's telling people to go out and have kids all around the world and you're not able to support them because that doesn't improve your legacy. That doesn't improve your legacy. Just because they got your last name, just because they got your DNA, just because they look like you, doesn't make them part of your legacy. What makes them part of your legacy is how you raise them, how you sit and you go back and you see them. That's part of your legacy. So before you even think about having a child overseas, you have to have at least 1 or 2 forms of passive income coming in outside of you working. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel. I'm patriotic when I travel. I only go to U.S. allies. I feel you, man, but I feel as U.S. allies, it's a lot of U.S. allies, but I don't really break it down like that for me. Exchange rate in Brazil, exactly 1 to 5, and that's a high. That's high. And a couple weeks ago in Colombia, it was 1 to 5,000. So as you understand, because of this inflationary era right now, the United States dollar is going to be the highest it is around the world, bro. The United States dollar right now is higher than the euro. So if you're going to try to have a child, and it's going to be this way for like 2 to 3 years, I believe. I believe it's going to be this way because a lot of countries are not. They're moving. They're messing up with the money. So for the next 2 to 3 years, I think the United States dollar is going to be high. So if you're going to try to do something like this, your funds are right in the States. The next 2 or 3 years, you want to maybe find a woman overseas. You want to, get pregnant and continue the legacy. Exactly. FaceTime technology, man. Technology has made this possible. And as a black man, I gotta say this part. I used to try to like complain about all these black niggas. Like y'all always saying all black people need to sleep with black people. Black people need to be with black people. I used to hate that. I used to dislike that. The reason why I dislike that is because that limits your mindset. That limits the amount. Let's say we're all just only with ourselves, right? We will never grow to the level of what we could be to be a majority again, or to be a majority. Because if all we're doing is sleep with each other, then we don't enhance our culture. See, what enhances the culture is when you have a kid with a woman from another culture, because now that kid not only has your culture, but that kid has her culture too, and that's 2 types of culture. That kid can now jump between. That's why dual citizenship was so important. Because if my kid has a citizenship in Ghana, and which my daughter does, and my daughter has a citizenship in the United States, now she has an option to go either place if something goes wrong. That's why, like I said, I used to dislike when all the elders said, you gotta date black, only date black. Wow, I was like, yo, that's so ignorant to me. But yeah, man, Technology is making this stuff possible. Will, what's up, man? No DR. Yeah, definitely no DR. Let me see. I'm not with that. I don't remember that part. Yeah, I was telling my story, man. Oh, he said got to be. Oh, he not with having a kid. Like I said, I know a lot of people will say, "Don't have no kid with a woman that has a kid overseas already." It's going to be a horrible thing because people, because you're not understanding this. You want your child to have the most ability to be comfortable where they're at, right? You, if you've been raised as a single child, then you might not understand. I was raised as a single child also, but you might not understand that if you have siblings, oh, it's more powerful. Let's say she just had a kid a year ago, right? So that kid is 2. She's not with the baby father no more. He comes around, does help whenever he can. She's not with the baby father no more. You have a kid with her. Now she has 2 kids, right? So now let's say your kid is 2, her oldest son is 3. They go to school when your kid is 5, the oldest son is 6. They go to school. One kid picks on him. His older brother comes and knocks the kid out. You understand this? This is something that they just don't think of. It's crazy. Matt Goodman says what? What's up, man? Another thing is how disciplined she is. Yes, I do believe that when you pick a woman to have a child with overseas, discipline is a very important factor. The issue with that is that unless you're over there 24/7, you really don't know how disciplined she really is. You can only get what you see when she's there. And yes, that's a start, but that's not everything. That's why I say you have to get to know the family. If you're going to have a kid with a woman, you have to get to know the family. And when I say you have to get to know the family, you're going to have to come out your pocket. You can't be no El Cheapo doing that, because if you want your kid to get the best ability to be treated fair in that family, knowing that his father is or her father is over in another country in the United States, well, you got to make sure that family knows that you're there to help them out as well as help your kid's mother out, man. It's all for the child. I don't know if people know, but even in the States, you ever had them families where, like in the States, and I know some of you might have, you ever had a family reunion and you got the kids that the grandma likes, and you got the kids that grandma don't like because they they never go over there to do any family events. They never go over there and spend no money. They always come over there broke to eat. They might not say they have favorites, but they treat them different, even in the States. Does he have kids seized already? No, I do not, because I wanted to build my empire here in the state first. I'm not one of the people that just want to leave and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not one of the people that want to leave and never come back. That's not it. I dug my roots in the United States. Forget that. I dug my roots in New Jersey first. And then I dug my roots in Miami. And now I can dig my roots over in Mexico, in Cuba, in Brazil, or Colombia. Because I already have a solid foundation in New Jersey. I have a solid foundation in Miami, and now I can go overseas and build my first solid foundation. That's why I don't have any children overseas yet, because I wanted to make sure. I feel as though it's better to build a foundation here first before you do that. You know, a lot of people, they say, oh, they want to have a kid overseas first. They want to get a place overseas first, but I feel as though building the foundation here first is better. Having a child with a pro, listen. Y'all not gonna act like people don't. Y'all not gonna act like people don't. I've seen some videos. I've seen some YouTube channels. I've seen some Instagram channels. And I've seen a lot of you brothers out there that have babies with pros. I'm not gonna knock it because you don't know if the woman is pro or not. She might not have been a pro to you, but you don't know what she's doing. She leaves. So I'm not here to knock anybody having kids with pros. You just gotta do your research, man. You gotta do your research. Let me see. I got the same book in the background. Yeah, I got mine autographed. If you haven't seen it already, I had an episode when I went to last week. I went to Brooklyn for Malcolm X screening for the 30th anniversary, and Spike Lee signed this book right there, and he signed this book right here. So I had him sign both books. Let me see. So no Brazil as an option. No, Brazil was an option. Brazil is the option. because I like that Brazil is the second big. First of all, I like that Brazil is the second biggest um black or African descendant population outside of Africa, right? And Brazilians went through slavery the same way we went through slavery in the United States. So we can have a lot to connect to, even without having a language to connect to. So I like Brazil. It's just that with the 6 to 9 hour difference and the fact that you really need to learn Portuguese if you're gonna have a kid in Brazil, um, that's falling more towards my third or fourth option. You know what I mean? That's falling more towards my third or fourth option versus my first and second. My first and second right now is looking like Colombia, Mexico, or Cuba. Colombia, Cuba. Mexico is probably borderline with Brazil. Yeah. Do you have to pay to put it on Netflix? No, you cannot pay to put it on Netflix. To get my Black Man's Guide, here's the thing. I feel as though I've hit a wall in YouTube. Of course, my videos are still getting views. The Black Man's Guide is a what I consider a video that's going to last forever. Because yeah, the prices may change and the names of the places may change, but geographically, nothing is going to change from the Black Man's Guide. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, the Black Man's Guide to World Travel, none of the stuff that I talk about is going to change except for the name and the cost of things. So to get it on Netflix, you can't pay for it to get on Netflix, and you can't shop it to Netflix because Netflix doesn't take unsolicited offers. You have to go and win film festivals and hope that somebody in the film festivals sees your thing and says, "Hey, we want to help you. We have this opportunity with Netflix," and Netflix says they're shopping out for some people, but only through us. You have to go through somebody to get your stuff on Netflix. See, for me, it's not about the money. I'm not going to get lowballed because I own the copy. I mean, I own the trademark, but it's not about the money. But it's about the fact that the Black Man's Guide to World Travel, bro. I'm at like 900,000 views as a Black man giving you his opinion or his perspective on the world. Bro, this is not, we've never tracked our history. We've only had a perspective of the European perspective. So me giving you this perspective, if I can get this on Netflix, even if they're not giving me the highest amount of money, but if they give me enough money to be able to pull it down from YouTube, because they're going to require me to pull it down from YouTube. So if it does get on Netflix, the Black Man's Guide series gets on Netflix, they're going to require me to pull it down from YouTube. So I'm going to not going to be able to make the money I make from YouTube off my videos. So that's why I'm trying to get on Netflix so it can help a lot of other people. Not to make a bunch of money, but I know I will. But because it's going to help more people if I get it on Netflix. Let me see. Random question. What part of Barranquilla do you recommend I stay in? I recommend you staying in the north of Barranquilla. The north of Barranquilla is what you consider the safe part, where it's the sixth strata. All right. And for those that don't know, in Colombia, they have stratas. First strata, second strata, third strata, fourth strata, fifth strata, sixth strata. The highest strata, where they have the highest income people, the most safety, the cleanest, with all the corporations, is the sixth strata. In Barranquilla, above 50th Street or 50th Avenue, up by 80th Street, is going to be the sixth strata where you want to stay or own property. Would you have a kid with a pro? Not knowing you. Again, if I know you're a pro and I know what you do, I maybe know some people, I see you out on a, that's not what I'm going to do. Why I'm not going to do that? Because of the fact that I know what I bring is going to see. A lot of pros have a mentality of wanting the flyer stuff. They want the nice dress. They want to dress nice. They want to look like. They want the expensive bag. They want the expensive purse. It's not as much as the fact that they're with a bunch of dudes that really turns me off when it comes to having a kid, because that's not the first thing I think of. I'm not thinking about, oh, I don't want to have a kid with her because she does this with all these dudes. No, I'm thinking I don't want to have a kid with her because your mentality is money, 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 money. And I don't want you to have a money, money, money mentality when you have my child. So that would be the reason why I wouldn't knowingly have a child with a pro. You know what I mean? Let me see. Free Society, what's going on? Brick City in the building, Jersey Strong. Jay says, I had to put that out there. What about dating Brazilian and Colombian women that are from the United States, like Florida. Okay, so I've dated Brazilian and Colombian and Cuban and Mexican women all in the States. In Florida, bro, oh, man, it's big. It's a big advantage because I got the place on the beach. I can't even knock it. You're gonna have to come looking like you got some money or something. But the thing about that is that they're still in the United States. So, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the mentality of the woman in the United States that messes everything up." No, for me, it's the fact that they can get away and get money through legal procedures that messes everything up. Because you can have all the mentality you want. If that legal backing doesn't protect, doesn't give you $200,000 a month child support like Kim Kardashian and Kanye, then all that mentality is going right out the door. So yeah, for me, I do think it's cool to date Brazilian women and Colombian women and women from all around the world in the States. But when it comes to having a kid, though, bro, I already got two in the States, man. I don't want any more in the States. My next one is hopefully going to be overseas between 2023 or 2024 and up, something like that. Let me see. What's my opinion about Panama? All right, so when I went to Panama, I was there for 4 hours. And the reason why I was there for 4 hours is because my bag busted open. They busted my bag open. They had to give me a new bag. I missed the flight, and then I had to catch another flight. So between that stuff, I went outside. I went to I guess like the downtown area to get some food. And my experience in Panama was so short, I couldn't give you a great thing. But I'll say this: it's expensive. Panama is not as expensive as Costa Rica, but Panama is more expensive than Colombia, Brazil, Dominican Republic. Panama is more expensive. I do want to go back still though to get a full experience, but that's all I can give you from there. Keon says, so don't tell them your name. Write it in notebooks. For the DR, listen, bro. Listen. I'm going to tell you this right now. You can try to play that game in the DR when you get one of the DR women pregnant who know you live in the States, right? It may go good with her not knowing your real name for the first year, 3 years. But somewhere along that first year and that 6th year, while you have a kid, you're going to slip up and tell her your name, or she's going to find out your name somehow. You're going to be sleeping one day, she's going to go through your wallet, she's going to see your name, she's going to write it down. And then when you pee her off, she's going to fly right to the United States. She's going, Poppy, I need $300-400 for your son. And you're going to be like, oh, you never asked me for that. Here, take that. Next thing you know, she's going to be in the States. She's going to get the social security number from a lawyer, because the lawyers, they're going to be money hungry. They're going to be like, you live in the States, and they're going to get you. And DR is one of them places where it's possible. So, yeah, man, you can play that game if you want, but I don't want to risk it, man. How much is child support in Brazil? I don't know. I don't ever hear anybody complain about child support in Brazil, to be honest with you. And they don't. And Brazil doesn't have the same connections with the United States, so they're not going to be able to just fly over the United States. See, that's the thing. They're not going to be able to just fly over to the United States and get you with your information and just get it like that in Brazil. It doesn't work that way in Brazil or Colombia. But in the Dominican Republic, yeah. I heard Brazil and the U.S. have relations as well. Not like DR, man. Not like DR. I'm from the people I know I do know a couple people who have children in Brazil. I don't know anybody who has children in Brazil on child support. Yeah, I don't know anybody who has children in Brazil on child support. But the 2 or 3 people I know who do have children in Brazil, yeah, they definitely said child support is not an issue at all. QB Passport Flex, what up, man? Even Mexico, to be honest with you, man, and QB Passport Flex can tell y'all more. But even Mexico, that child support thing, bro, check this out. Mexico shares a border that you can walk across with the United States, right? But it's more difficult for a woman in Mexico to come to the United States and get child support from you to get back to Mexico than it is to go to the DR and do it. Like I said, the connection is just different, man. Chile is the only country in South America that can enter the United States without a visa. Okay. Rain God says facts. Flyboy having a baby with a pro is off the table. We just had that conversation, man. Like I said, if I'm with a woman, I don't know she's a pro because I'm not there all the time, and then she gets pregnant, and then I find out she's a pro, and then somehow the baby is mine. I have no choice. I have to work it out. But before I go raw and start busting in the women, I would definitely do the research. I would have to meet her family first, because if I'm planning it to get her pregnant, when I'm shooting the club up, and I'm planning to get her pregnant, I'm going to want to know who's going to be backing you, who's backing you, who can you go to, who can you go to if there's a problem with my son or my daughter, and I'm in the United States. Who can you go to? No. So I will probably know if she's a pro before she gets pregnant. Yo, Flyboy, when is your next trip, brother? Again, this year I'm not taking any international trips that I have planned. Well, I don't say take. I don't know what's gonna happen this year, but I don't have any international trip planned coming up 2023. My whole focus is going to film festivals, submitting my Black Man's Guide to World Travel to different places. I got like 1 or 2 film festivals I'm actually going to. One in Miami, one somewhere else. I got the Webby Awards. I've paid a lot of money forward to get this Black Man's Guide on Netflix so it can help more people, because I've hit a barrier on YouTube, man. Like again, a lot of people don't understand it. When they see these people on YouTube who have million view videos, it's, I don't want to say easier, but I'm hypothetically speaking. It's easier to get a million view video if all you are doing is entertaining. If you're entertaining somebody, if you're just doing entertainment on your video, it's easier to get a million view video. Understand that. As a Black man who's educating, who's giving you showing you something that has not ever been shown on YouTube in the way that I do it on the Black Man's Guide, to get that one Black Man's Guide to Cartagena to 900,000 people that watch this, and 17,000 likes and 4,000 comments for a person who's educating you on something, even though it is entertaining, I'm educating you on something. That's a feat that I have not seen anybody else do. So I understand how hard that is. But if I can get this on Netflix, bro, I feel as though I can help more people. I can help more. That's the whole point of it, man. Yes, I do want to make some money, but it's more important for me to help more people. So like I said, next year, 2023, I don't have any plans to go anywhere international. My brother, we're going on a cruise in October. I'll be going to Miami every month. I'm going to Miami every month, but that's all I have planned. I may make this quick trip to Cuba, but like I said, I don't want to start working on getting my first child out the country until 2024, because this is going to be the last year I really try to get my Black Man's Guide onto Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon or something like that. I'm 22. Can you be my mentor? Unfortunately, bro, I don't even have a lot of time, bro. Like, I don't have a time to be mentor. I'd rather just, if you have questions, you can always ask me on Instagram. I don't charge for consultations. You can ask me here. Like, if I stop YouTube right now, if today I never posted another video, my YouTube channel has not a financial advice, but it has my financial journey from poverty to property, from a kid who grew up in North New Jersey during the crack epidemic, who had no father in his life, a mother who was in and out of the mental institution, but was there to show the love that I needed as a kid. I had a grandfather who was a businessman. I had aunts who was there to help my mother when she wasn't able to be around. From a kid that grew up to that, to a millionaire who owns property in New Jersey and Miami and getting ready to buy a property overseas. All that stuff is on my page under the financial part. And then if you want to know about travel around the world, you can go to my world travel, or you can go to the Black Man's Guide to World Travel. So if I never posted another video, everything that you need to know is right on the channel, my boy. Everything you need to know. Yeah, I'm an only child. Yeah, I'm an only child too, but I understand. I understand when I used to go to school, when I used to bop, 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 bop. Yeah, got you. Like a kid would pick on me or something, or he would pick on one of my friends. He would pick on me because I was never the pick on type. But I used to hang out with because I was always smart. I was always intellectual, very good at math, gifted and talented. So I used to hang out with a lot of people that people call geeks or called punks or called nerds and stuff like that. I used to hang out with a lot of people like that because I was always just gifted in numbers. So when those kids get picked on, and then I end up fighting the kid who picked on them and beating the kid up, and the kid bring their brother to school, and now I get jumped. So I used to understand. It started helping me understand. Hey, it would be cool to have an older brother or older sister or something. So yeah, man, like I said, a lot of people not having a kid with a woman overseas that has one kid already. But brother, trust me, that could be a help for your kid. Um, are us American brothers considered taller? And yeah, yes, I think so. From based on you can do based on statistics. I think statistics will prove it. But yeah, like I'm 5'9". So in the states, I'm considered in the United States, I'm considered below height. Like the average height for a male in the United States is 5'10". I'm 5'9". So in the States, I would be underneath. But I think the average height might in a lot of these other countries might only be like 5'7" for a man, or 5'8" for a man. So I fit right in. Um, Let me see. I agree with spending time with the family. Fly, definitely dropping gems with that. Yo, that's the most important thing you do, man. That's the most important thing you can do. Get a country tribe chick prego with time. The city girls will get more westernized overseas. Here's the thing about getting a country woman pregnant. The thing about getting a country woman pregnant is that it secures um that it's less likely they'll sleep with a whole bunch of men or, like you said, get westernized. But the issue with that is that you want your kid to go to the best schools, right? You want your kid overseas to be very highly educated, right? The women who live in the countryside and the women, and this is my perspective from the women I've dated in the countryside, the women in different countries who live in the countryside or live in like the rural areas of town, they don't have the highest education, in my perspective. This is my experience. Remember, I've been traveling around the world for like 13, almost 14 years. From my experience, when you start getting these women from the countryside of the rural towns, you want your kid to go to the best school, it's going to be a disconnect when they come home and their mother got to teach them stuff. So you got to really think about all that when when you plan. Coco says, I'd have one kid in Colombia, one kid in Jamaica, and turn chicken. I love it. Oh man, listen. I thought about Jamaica also, but the thing about Jamaica for me was that, you know, the bang for your buck isn't as much as South American countries or Caribbean or the Caribbean like Cuba. And remember, I said the island thing is different, but Cuba is an island, but it's a little bit different from the Dominican Republic. In the sense of, I'm from NYC and 23. My Spanish is bad, but I know some. Would Colombia be a good country to travel for my first time? I tell people all the time, on your first international trip, you should always go to either the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, or Mexico. These three countries, I tell you, always go to those countries on your first trip because it's not too different from the United States, but you can see that there's another culture there. It's a big, so in those places you can walk through, like if you go to the Dominican Republic, go to Sosua, go to Punta Cana. Only two places for your first trip. If you go to Costa Rica, go to San Jose, go to Haku Beach. Two places. If you're going to Colombia, if you're going to go to Colombia, if you're going to go to Colombia for your first international trip, you should only go to Cartagena. And the reason for this is because Cartagena has the setup, everything close, everything access, and people speak English there. If you go to Medellin for your first time, you gotta be very careful. Things might happen. If you go to Barranquilla, a lot of people don't speak English there. If you go to Cali, the majority of people don't speak English there. So you want to make sure that you can vibe around, man. JS, hold on, let me get a water real quick, y'all. I've been talking for a while. Let me get a water. Back. I've been talking for a while, y'all. Let me see. All right. JS says, how do you feel about being in a relationship with a pro? Would the professionalism worry you, or is it a person's mentality? That's a good question, though, man. It's a good question. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, why are you even considering that? Why are you even considering that? All right, so let's break this down. This. Pros, we have a negative light in the United States because that's the way that America has trained us to think, to function, to focus everything on loyalty through intimacy. That's what America has, uh, the propaganda America has put in our heads. But the rest of the world doesn't operate like this, man. The rest of the world doesn't operate like this. Check this out. The rest of the world, they operate in is just a professional who has a different type of work. Cool. What gets what relationships is different. If you're expecting a relationship where where a woman is loyal to you in a sexual manner, if a woman is loyal to you, if you're expecting a woman to be loyal to you in a sexual manner, meaning she doesn't sleep with anybody else and she's a pro, I don't think that's going to work. If you want a woman to be loyal to you in the sense of every time you go to that country, she's there, or if you're living in that country, she's not going to be a pro. You got to do two things. You got to be cool with being able to be there, her financial support, because if she ever needs financial support, she's going to go back to that. She's going to go back to pro activities. Secondly, you got to be comfortable with the fact that a lot of guys that you may have known might have. If you're comfortable with that, I don't see nothing wrong with it, man. If you're comfortable with that, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Now, would I do it? Of course not. I wouldn't do it. Why wouldn't I do it? Because of the fact that first of all, I don't plan on settling down. But secondly, I can have a relationship. An example. Every time I go to this country, I deal with the same pro. That's a relationship. It's not a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but it's a relationship. Let me see. It was some pretty chicks in Panama Airport. Yeah, I mean, a couple of cops are kind of pretty. How much money would you need coming in? Okay, good question. All right, so this is how I, for myself, figured it out. We're just gonna start with a place that I think. Let's start Colombia, right? If I want to have a child in Colombia, Barranquilla to be exact, right? If I want to have a child in Colombia, in Barranquilla, first, I want my child's mother to have a place in a uh, uh, six strata place. So now I'm talking about above 50th or 80th. How much is that going to cost her? That's going to cost her, because remember, you are paying for her to have a place that you're going to be able to come to spend time with your kids. So you're gonna own the place, access to the place too, but it's gonna be her place, and you're gonna be paying for it, or it's gonna be your place to be paying for it. And it's got to be at least a 2 bedroom. You are going to pay $400 a month, and this is Barranquilla. Like I said, of course, Medellin is more expensive. Cali is less expensive. Bogota is probably around the same price, and Cartagena is more expensive. But in Barranquilla, you're gonna pay $400 a month for that. Another $100 a month for miscellaneous and light bills, right? So altogether, $500 a month just for her to have a place to live. Another $200 a month for you to be able to over there to take care of the kid and whatever she needs. Now, if you want her to feel a little more loyal to you, you're gonna have to throw in another 100. So $800 a month, you set. You don't gotta drop another dime. Now, yes, a lot of people are gonna say in Barranquilla, you can do stuff for a lot less. You can do stuff for less. But the way I'm seeing it is I'm including the best schools, making sure your kid is living in the best area, and giving her like a little $100, maybe $100 a month to be able to. Maybe she want to go out with her girls one night. Maybe she want to get flower one night. $800 a month. $800 a month times 10 months, 8,000. 8,000 a month. 2 more months. That's 8,000 a month. 800 a month, 8,000 a month plus 16. That's $9,600. So you need $9,600 a year. Let's just round it out and say $10,000 a year. For $10,000 a year, you can have a woman taking care of your kid of course she's gonna have to still work because she might want more things. You can put them in the top strata in a nice place. You can go there whenever you want. They're gonna have food. The kid's gonna be in the best school in Barranquilla. $10,000 a year. Now remember, Remember what Kanye West is going through? $200,000 a month. Each kid getting $50,000 a month. But for $10,000 a year, you can set this woman up in the best strata in a nice little two-bedroom apartment with your kid going to one of the best schools, with her having a little bit of spending money and the food being taken care of. All lights and stuff being taken care of for $10,000 a year. So that's how I think of things. That's how I think of things. And that's just in Colombia. We can do that with Mexico. Mexico be a little bit more expensive because I say Playa del Carmen. Other parts of Colombia be low expensive. Cuba would be way less expensive. Cuba probably like $500 a month in Cuba. You get away with $500 a month, maybe less, maybe $400 a month in Cuba. Brazil, you probably do need like another $700 a month. It probably less than no. Brazil probably be $800 a month too, right? I think in Brazil would be $800 a month. And yeah. Let's see. What about having kids in Chile? I don't know too much about Chile, man. I haven't been there yet. So, like I said, my four. I only speak. I'm not one of the people who's going to give you all the stuff that I research and stuff. No, I can only speak from what I've been. Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, Brazil. Those 4 places, man. Those 4 places. Again, I haven't been to Venezuela. I heard they was going through some hard times. I haven't been to Venezuela, so I don't know. Again, I don't have been to Venezuela. I don't know. True. Now I do know Venezuelan women are beautiful. And Venezuelan women are in Colombia too. There are a lot in Mexico as well. So them bennies. And get to all your questions, then we end it. Likewise, man. I just know because I know if we go on Netflix, it's gonna help some more people. And here's the issue I'm having right now, because I got my Black Man's Guide to World Travel got turned down or not selected. It's not turned down. It got not selected for some like 3 film festivals already, right? And here's where it gets a little bit weird, because sometimes they select film festivals winners or select people who I go to the videos on YouTube and they only got like 6,000 or 7,000 views, but then the ones of mine that got hundreds of thousands of views wasn't selected. And I'm like, it's just a changing of the guard, because they're going from one particular way of doing a documentary to the way I do it, the way of documentary. And a lot of other people do it now. Mr. Four Quarters, what's going on, man? What's going on? What it do? Valid. I'll wait till I'm able to live full-time overseas, but how far I have a kid. See, the issue with that, Rain, is that if you keep waiting for that and it never comes because you say, oh, I'm not ready, then you never end up having a kid. You fall into the American propaganda, and then you end up, see, the issue for a lot of us that a lot of us as people of the United States is that we put stuff aside so long that when we feel we ready, we already got messed up somehow. We might have a baby mother who put us on child support. We might have got married, got a divorce. Now we're paying child support and alimony. Or we might have, put ourselves in a place where we can't leave or do something. It just, listen, I planned this out for a long time. I wanted to make sure my son was already in school and doing good. I wanted to make sure that my daughter was in high school ready before I decided to do this. So, yeah, man. Free society question. Cool. What's your opinion on the sister that was just murdered in Mexico by her so-called friends? Rest in peace to the sister that was murdered in Mexico by her so-called friends. The only opinion I have is that things happen. You have to really be cautious of who you continue to put yourself around. I don't know her situation. I don't know their situation, but I do know there's almost always signs. There's almost always signs that these people don't really mess with me. And, regardless of if I'm going to lose money because I'm leaving, or regardless if I got to look crazy because I'm yelling loud like something's happening, if something is happening, like if they're bringing out knives and they're trying to stab me with a knife, I might just run out the door and say, yo, I'm going. call the cops, especially overseas. If I'm in the States, I can call home. It's nothing to it. But if I'm overseas, I'm calling the police. I'm getting up out of there, and I'm just never hanging with people again. There's always signs. So rest in peace to her again. I just feel as though maybe she missed the sign. Maybe she missed the sign that, yo, these people really don't mess with me. Because there's no way I have any friends, even if it's a one-on-one, even if it's a one-on-one. There's none of my friends and nobody that would fight each other to the point of killing the other person without nobody stopping. No. Yeah, if me and my friends have an issue, we're gonna go to a corner where nobody else can see us, where no outsiders. We definitely not gonna record no video. It's not it's not your real friends that they record a video for one. So we're gonna do our little 30 seconds, bomb, 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 bomb. You done. We're gonna hug it out and then we're gonna move on. That's just how we move in the hood. Like, so those wasn't real friends at all. And she definitely had to have signs that happened before, that they wasn't real friends before, because that would have been too crazy. Ever notice how crazy expensive America is? Listen, I understand it though. You have to understand. A lot of people don't understand that when America was created, it wasn't created for everything to be equal. Everybody thinks America was created to be land of the free, land of the equal. No, the only reason why America was created is because the Europeans that was in Europe that wasn't nobles or relatives to the queen, they wanted to get power. So they had to make a country that you can get power based on how much money you have. They made America. America is a country that's America because you can get power based on how much money you have. And that's what it's always been, and that's what it's always going to be. So it's going to be the most expensive place to live, the most expensive place to function, because it was created to be a place where money determines everything. And no one ever realized, oh, this is racist. Oh, this is unfair. It's not. It's American. You can make money. So yeah, definitely notice that. How long it took me to learn Spanish? I'm still learning. I'm still learning Spanish. The thing is that if you use it, the more you use it, the more you get comfortable using it. The more you understand words more. So it took me about 5 months to get comfortable with it. I tried going to school and taking a Spanish class. It fell miserably. I tried taking Rosetta Stone, fell miserably. I used Duolingo every day for 5 months. It started speaking. Then after that, I started trying to speak Spanish to every Spanish person I see. If I say something wrong, they'll correct me. And then the next time I don't use it. If I don't know a word, every day I speak to one Spanish person. I say something. Oh, not Spanish person, sorry. Latin American person or somebody who speaks Spanish. And that's what really helped me the most. All right, let's get to it. You get citizenship too when you have a kid. I don't think that's completely true. You get citizenship in another country when you get married to another woman in the country, but you got to be careful with that, because if you get married with a woman in another country, that opens the floodgates to her getting access to what you own in the States. So for me, the kid would be there, the marriage would, even because I'm not going to just marry for dual citizenship. Most places with United States passport, we can stay for 6 months at a time. You don't like Europe? It's not that I don't like Europe. I didn't get the black experience in Europe when I went. I do want to go back to get the black. I got a tourist experience. So it wasn't something that I connected with. Also, European culture is not the culture I feel the most comfortable around, because it's not my culture. So I don't know. It's not my experience. So I can go to Europe and have fun. I can meet nice people, but when I'm in South America, it's a little bit different, because I see people who relate to slavery. I see people who relate to the struggle. When I'm in Mexico, I see people who relate to working hard. I see people who relate to not being the dominant culture, the dominant thing. So yeah, those places are a little bit different for me. Jamal, what's going on, man? Salute. I know this podcast has been live, but I told y'all from the beginning. I mean, I know it's been a long podcast or video, but stream. But I told you from the beginning, we're gonna really discuss having kids overseas, and because I want my kids to know if they ever watch this in the future, that the reason why you have brothers and sisters in other countries is because I didn't want to put all my legacy in one basket. You hustle for your last name, not your first. So you want to make sure, shout out to Dash for that. You want to make sure that you think outside of the propaganda that we taught here in the United States, because the United States propaganda meaning the way of life that they say everyone should live, white picket fence, family, car, husband, wife living together, bro, that's just here, man. That's just something to keep you here, to keep the economy going. But if you really want to grow, really want to grow your legacy, have kids in different countries because all that's going to do is and be there in their life. That's going to really grow your legacy. Rambies, they probably don't want that message of black men traveling out there. Listen, I don't really. I'm not gonna say they do. I'm not gonna say they don't. All I can do is work hard and try to get it out there. You know what I mean? I just try to get it out there. That's all I can do. And that's why I dedicated next year to doing that, man. I dedicated 2023 to doing that because I'll feel comfortable and happy and satisfied with myself if next year I spend a whole year doing that and nothing comes out of it. I'll feel comfortable. If I don't do it, I wouldn't feel comfortable. German says, "Have you thought about going to international film?" That's what I've been doing, German. I have a video that I posted about me leaving YouTube next year. Leaving in the sense of the only thing I'm going to be doing next year mostly, I'm going to do one Black Man Guide a year. Next year I probably won't do one because I'm not going internationally. But I'm going to do one Black Man Guide a year, and I'm going to be coming on for lives like this. But it's not going to be all the edited content that you see, 800 plus videos. It's not going to be that because I'm going to be doing a lot of international film festivals, a lot of film festivals. I've been sending stuff to Dubai. I sent stuff to Costa Rica. I've been sending stuff to Colombia. I've been sending stuff to France, the Cannes Festival. I even paid $1,000 to put my stuff on the Webby Awards. I paid $500, $600 to go down to Miami for Miami Film Week. I've been doing a lot for next year, man, because we're gonna work it out. To live comfortably in corporate America, you will need to make at least $250. That's if you don't have more than 2 kids, man. Yeah, if you don't have, because if you make at least $250, you're gonna be taxed like 40-30%. So you're gonna come back with like 180, and then you want your kids to go to great schools. You want to live somewhere nice. You want to own something. I mean, yeah, 250 would be good, but if you got more than 2 kids, bruh, or 2 kids and a wife, and then you got to worry about pleasing your wife because if you don't please your wife and you're making 250, a year after she divorced you, you're basically making 100 a year. I just got back from Europe, Paris, and Rome. It's expensive here. Yeah, Paris is expensive, and by the Eiffel Tower. South of Paris, out here, it's not that expensive, but yeah, man, it is expensive, man. Rome is dope though. I've been there. All right. Oh, we made it to the end. That's dope. That's dope. Germany closer to 300,000 as well. It's crazy, man. All right, yo, I'll give you guys like 5 more minutes. You guys got any questions? This is the last call for questions. Again, this whole conversation was just to let people know that when you're considering having a child in another country, there's some things you want to make sure you do. One, you want to make sure the place that you go is going to be safe. You want to make sure the place that you go is going to give you more bang for your buck economically, meaning you're going to spend less and get more for it. You want to also make sure the closivity of where you live. If you live in the United States, I personally choose to only be 3 to up to 8 hours away, 8-9 hours away. That's the furthest I'll go with having a child. And you want to make sure that the education in the country is good. And the reason why you do want to have children overseas, the reason why I want to have kids overseas, and I plan to have kids overseas, is because I want my legacy to be more important than the United States. Then again, I want my legacy to be way more than just the United States. Because the propaganda that puts everybody here to say, hey, just do it in the United States, have a wife, have a kid, this is the way things are supposed to be. That all that does is limit your imagination. It limits your legacy. I don't want to put a limit on my legacy. You know what I mean? The number one ruler in the world that's remembered over time is Genghis Khan, is because he conquered land. When he conquered land, he had kids in these lands that were raised, and then they was able to blend in with the culture, and they controlled the land that he had kids in. Now he did it violently. I don't support that. I want to do mine economically. I want to be the quote unquote economic Genghis Khan, where I go and take my money that I was, like I said, I want to say lucky. I want to say lucky, but I won't say lucky. What I say is that my ancestors who were slaves and who were going through segregation, who were going through mass incarceration, who were going through the brutalities here in the United States. They lived all this time and they went through all that stuff to make it possible for me at this point now to be able to plant my foot in the United States and still spread my seeds around the world. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be one of these guys that's just stuck in a big house with a wife and kids and live my life like that, so happy. No. Everything that my ancestors been through, I can put my feet firmly down in New Jersey, put my feet firmly down in Miami, and then go have some kids in Colombia, go have some kids in Brazil, go have some kids in Mexico, go have some kids in Cuba. So I'm just taking the action to do right. And when it comes to picking a woman, again, make sure she's educated. Make sure you get in touch with her family before and get comfortable with her family before you decide to have a kid with her. Because if she doesn't have that family connection, she doesn't have a mother or father or brothers and siblings brothers and sisters that can be there for your kid. Also consider, if she has one kid, consider this: your kid to have an older brother or older sister to look after them. If she has more than one kid, I would say square away. I would say stay away. At least I would. That's everything summed up, I guess. And let's see what comments you guys left. Let's see what comments you guys have left. Let me see. Would you start a franchise like Pandora Bread if it produces? If it produces passive income and it is worth it, I would have. But now I do real estate. I'm comfortable with real estate. I have 2 houses, 4 units, 5 units, 6 units. I have five cash flowing units. Those units I'm able to work less hours but still get paid for work. I have some other investments like stocks. I don't have any more crypto, and I can take that money in and go with this. Let me see. That's exactly what I need to hear. Thanks. You got it, Living. That's why I'm leaving America by 2025 for either Paraguay. Like I said, I understand there's some people who say they want to leave America, they want to go back to Africa, they want to go to different countries. Me personally, in my soul, I cannot look at everything that we went through as Black people. I don't consider myself African American. I consider myself Black. As everything that we went through as Black people, my ancestors went through as Black people, I'm not just giving up the United States. I feel as though I would never just give up the United States, especially when that passport will take me anywhere I want to go, as long as I want to go and come back. So yeah, but I can understand it. I can definitely understand it, man. Sonic Strange. So no Malaysian kids, since they're over 12 hours away. It's not likely. I'm be real with y'all. It's not likely, because then if I have a kid in Thailand or the Philippines, then it becomes one of the things where I either have to go over there and retire, or I'm just over there basically spending money and coming and going over there once a year, and that's not the kind of the vibe I want. Let me see. Last one. I have 2 triplexes here okay, in the United States. Would it be easy to own property overseas? It depends what country you're in. Certain countries like Cuba, you can't own the property unless you're married to a Cuban, and then if you divorce, it goes back to her name. Or if you have a kid in Cuba, and you can own the property through the kid. However, with the way that the government is set up in Cuba, it is more to me. It makes more sense to me to rent a place in Cuba and use the passive income you have from your triplex over here to raise your family in Cuba, or raise your family in overseas. Very real talk. Appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all for coming in and listening, man. Would it be easier or cheaper to make films overseas than the United States? Of course. Everything anywhere except for if you go to Europe, maybe. Well, Europe's the majority of places is least expensive to make films overseas than the United States. How do you know if a Costa Rica girl is safe? Criminal perspective, you never know. You really never know if anyone is safe. Safe is based on how you move. What I would say about that though, Jack, is this: in Costa Rica, it's the #1 place where the most expats, United States citizens living outside of their country, live. Is in Costa Rica. So Costa Rica's government is put into a place where they are very protective about United States citizens living over there. So it's less likely that a woman from Costa Rica will drug and rob you because there are consequences that come with that. The safest way to do it is to make sure you have a guard that takes their ID and doesn't give it back until they come back out with you. And there are Airbnbs that do that, or hotels that they can sign a guest name and they do that stuff too. So the best way to figure out if a woman is safe in Costa Rica is to make sure that your environment is safe. I do real estate as well, homie. I'm looking to own a few properties outside of America. That's dope. See, I'm not looking to make a big income from my properties outside of America, and I'm not really looking to buy a bunch of them outside of America. I do want to get the one applied to Carmen, and then that's pretty much going to be it. Everywhere else I can just rent because I want one place overseas out of America, but everywhere else I can just rent because it's less of a hassle. I don't have to worry about taking care of the property. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. All right. Um, you got it, Ken. And Honduras, again, Honduras, I don't know nothing about it, I haven't been there, man. But I appreciate everybody for coming in the room and listening to this conversation. Again, my kids in the future, if you're wondering why your dad and why you have siblings in different countries, understand it's because I understand the principle of putting my eggs in different baskets so it can make our legacy. Because it's not just my legacy anymore. Once you have children, it's our legacy. I know the perspective of making our legacy bigger than the propaganda that they have put forth for years and years on us here in the United States. So hopefully you guys go see your brothers and sisters in other countries. It's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.